Now, let's start then at the beginning. The beginning for most people is finding a property, and the way to find a property in Turkey is through an estate agent.
Yeah, estate agents, and as nowadays there are lots of internet,
Yes.
like websites.
And of course there are other ways. You'll drive along the road and you'll see all sorts of
Signage.
for sale satellite signs up.
Yeah.
But for a foreigner, first of all, they're probably not going to have the time to go and chase all those things. But secondly, they're probably not going to speak Turkish, and therefore they're going to find that incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
So realistically, it's about using an estate agent.
Estate agents.
Are estate agents in Turkey licensed?
It is not a license that you would expect, but they are registered with a chamber.
Yes.
So yes, there is a chamber who are like regulating their like a day-to-day basis
Yes.
paperwork and monitoring them.
So it is illegal for someone in Turkey, whether they're Turkish or German or French or English, it's illegal for them just from their bedroom to operate their own estate agency without being registered.
Yeah, they should be registered, they should be following up some rules.
Yes.
Maybe the rules are not sophisticated as you would expect, but there are some rules. And obviously, if they are not giving a proper service, you can always ask for a go and follow them.
And it's important to understand that there is a difference between being registered and being professionally qualified.
Yes.
There is no professional qualification required here.
Yeah.
It is merely a process of registration with the appropriate authority.
Exactly.
And then following a certain code of conduct.
Correct.
Yes. And that, of course, makes it very different from estate agents in places such as the United States or France, who go through a rigorous professional training. How do you know whether your estate agent is licensed?
Normally, you will see certificates in their office.
Yes, and on their website.
On their website, and you can go to the website of the chamber, and you can just make an inquiry about them.
And of course, you can ask.
Yeah.
Yes. So make sure you're dealing with a proper registered estate agent.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with an estate agent, you will get certain information from that agent. And it's fair to say that the information that is published, produced here, is more limited, isn't it, than you might find in some other countries?
I would say very limited.
Yes.
Because they are only giving information about the building,
Yes.
not the legal conditions.
And you don't normally get a big, glossy brochure with pictures and full details of the property and so on. It tends to be pretty basic information that's given on
Basic
paper.
information.
So, but let's look at some of the information that may well be there. First of all, there will be usually pictures of the property.
Yeah.
And then there will be a description of the property.
Correct.
And in the description of the property, it's quite likely to say something like 2 + 1 or 3 + 2 or whatever. Can you just explain to us what that means?
The number of rooms described in Turkey like bedrooms and a living room. And if we call it like a 2 + 1, which means you have 2 bedroom and 1 living room. And it is usually described in that route. And if we would expect, if there's no other details, we would expect a kitchen and a bathroom.
On top of the 2 + 1.
2 + 1.
Yes.
But if there is an ensuite or more than 1 bathroom, normally they also describe that in their
It would say specifically.
yeah.
Yes. So it might say 3 + 2 with 3 bathrooms, for example.
And 3 + 2 is normally we don't come up with. Normally we would expect just 1 living room in 1 house.
Yes. And if the kitchen is combined with the living room, again, you would expect to see that in the details.
They would say we call that like an American style kitchens,
Yes.
like an open space kitchen.
What other information would you expect to see in the estate agent's details?
If there is a garden, they would be mentioning about that. And I think the basic information will be firstly, is this a flat or semi-detached villa or a detached villa? Or if it's within the site or just an individual block of apartments. I think these are the first most necessary information. And if it is like a detached villa or duplex, triplex, one story, it will be described. And if there's a space as a garden or car parking, it will be also described in the advertisement.
And it will normally show the number of square meters for the property.
The square meters is a little bit. I think you should be careful about that.
They lie.
I wouldn't say they lie, but sometimes they got the gross square meter, and you would expect it to be net. So there's a discrepancy.
Yes, the proper way of doing it is to describe the net square meters. In other words, the useful interior space.
Yeah. So.
But very often they will include terraces and so on. So suddenly your 65 square meter apartment is described as an 80 square meter apartment.
And this happens a lot.
It does.
I mean, it does happen. They usually at the terrace, balcony, or stair like a space. So you have to be careful about that.
Worth checking that very carefully. In fact, when you go and look at a property, just make a measurement of the rooms just to make sure that they are as described. Okay, when you go to see an estate agent and he will introduce you to various properties, does he only introduce you to properties where he has been asked to sell the property, or does he have access to all of the properties in the city?
No, normally we only expect an estate agent to introduce you the properties that they have the authority to sell. So this one of things that you should be really looking at, because if he is showing any other properties, then which means if he doesn't have the authority, then there might be a dispute between the other estate agents.
Yes.
Or the owner of the property can easily say, you're not authorized, so you cannot really sell my property. So they have to be authorized by the owner to show the property for the sale. And you should make quite a bit inquiries about that, asking to see their authorization. Yes. Because what they are put as a price may not be complying with the price that the owner is asking for. Yes. So you have to also check that one.
And it's quite common, isn't it, for owners to instruct more than one estate agent to sell the property. And it's not unusual to find the same property advertised at different prices by different estate agents.
That could happen,
yes. So there needs to be a bit of caution there.
Caution, yeah.
So, but mainly for the benefit of our American friends, there is no multiple listing service here in Turkey. If you want to see all the properties available in, say, Bodrum, you have to go to all of the estate agents in Bodrum, and there are dozens and dozens and dozens of them.
Yeah.
So you probably will never get to see all the properties that are available on sale.
No, we don't have such a listing.
But what you do have, increasingly, are property portals, websites, which bring together the properties from lots of agents in the one place. So that's probably a good starting point.
Yeah, it is. I think when you find the property, I think you should just check the major website, which is from the owner, what we call it. Basically, everyone, either the agents or the owners, are putting their property or vehicles that's in such a website. So you should just check that.
And we'll put a link to that website with this video.
We will.
Okay, so let's imagine you go to the estate agent, and the estate agent shows you in his office some details of a couple of properties that are of interest to you. You then go and visit the properties.
Yeah, you will make an inspection trip.
And you will usually be accompanied by the estate agent on that trip.
That is correct. Yes. And you will be presumably asked to sign a contract before you go to the property, because the agents wants to secure their commission.
Yes.
So
this is a document that says, I acknowledge that the estate agent, whoever, has introduced me to this property. And it doesn't say it in so many words, but and if anyone's going to get any commission out of this, it's going to be him.
Actually, normally the commission amount is also stated in that. Yeah, it is normally stated. Basically, what they say is, I see this property through this agent, and if I decide to buy to myself or my family members or a company which is in my shareholding, then I will be paying this amount of percentage as a commission.
And there's nothing to worry about in signing that document. Because you're not committing to buy the property, you're
No.
merely saying that if the agent sells it to
Exactly.
you, he's going to get his money.
It is just a protection for the agents because unfortunately in Turkey it is very common that the purchasers are looking the property through the agent but then find the owner some way and they are just like not paying their commission.
Just trying to go behind the agent direct to the owner.
It happens a lot.
Yes.